is Amena Art Gallery and Shop, and today we are with Amena K, our artist, here talking about her snake painting.
It's not called the snake, but anyhow. Hi guys, my name is Amena, and we're going to be discussing the details about the snake painting. And Duffy and my daughter is going to be interviewing me to figure out the nuances between the creation of it and why it's not called the snake painting.
So firstly, to start off, what is its proper name?
So this is actually called Snake with Flowers. So it has snake in the name, but obviously a lot of it has to do with flowers too. It's not just a snake, it's flowers as well. And these are very special flowers, and we're going to be getting to those here in a second.
Now we're going into the story, so mind telling us why these flowers are so special to this painting?
So actually I want to talk about the whole piece first. All right, so the whole piece, the reason why this piece is special, because it's kind of emulating a childhood, not my childhood for me childhood, so what would that be? A parenting moment of mine. So my kids, including my daughter, was addicted to these little kids books. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember they all had to do with like different little animals. And like one would be a worm, one would be a bunny. I remember those two distinctly because those were their favorites. And it had this very unique art style that kind of was very lined heavy. So you can see, I got some really heavy lines on here. See the dynamic lines over here? So it was very like grainy and like had really heavy lines, and it was an illustration style. And I really fell in love with that illustration style. In fact, I love a lot of illustrators. There's too many that I can't even like emulate how many like I really look up to. But you can see here, it looks more like an illustration than maybe like a real snake, right? Like I left the eyes very like cartoony. I left the whole thing very stylized, and there was a reason for that, and because of that memory that I had of the kids really being addicted to these books. And it was such a unique style. It was such a fun, unique style. I wanted to emulate that in this piece. So that's pretty much the overall on it. And you wanted to know about the flowers.
Why
Okay,
did you choose these ones specifically?
All right, well, roses mean a lot to me. They used to not, which is crazy. I didn't even like roses for a long time. Like, they weren't my favorite flower. I never thought about asking for roses for a gift. Now, over the last 10 years, they've been a very big part of my life. And in my artwork, you'll see a ton of roses. It's one of my signature, like, symbols that I use. And that's because here in our home, we've been here a long time now, a very long time, over a decade. So when we moved here, there was these gorgeous rose bushes, and didn't really take notice in them too much because during the time we moved here, it was winter. But when they actually grew and they bloomed, they take over our whole front yard. And they were just so powerful because we saw them all the time. Every time we came home, every time we left, and they bloomed twice a year. So not just in the spring, but they also bloom in the fall. And it's such a big focus point on the front of my house. When you're driving down the driveway, you see them. When you leave the house, you can't go anywhere without seeing these giant rose bushes. And it's so beautiful. These flowers are like giant, and they're red, and they turn pink, and I really fell in love with them. And they're just beautiful to look at. And then you really appreciate the symbolism in flowers. They're just gorgeous. They're delicate but yet strong. They have a lot of features that you kind of want to emulate as a person. You know, soft but strong. You know, delicate but tough. You know, self-protecting but yet, you know, wanting that little bit of softness, I guess you could say. Yes. So I started seeing roses as something that I wanted to emulate in a lot of my artwork, not only because it held something personal to me, but also because of that symbolism that I've gotten to really appreciate about the flower, because I was around it all the time now. So I love those flowers, like literally. I really love those flowers, so I don't like anybody touching them because they're just so special. And they're not just special to me, they're special to all of us. You really love them too. So, you know, it's something that we all really appreciate as a family. So they have to be there. Another thing you'll see primarily in here, we've got like there are two other flowers. But the two other flowers, I just really wanted like a yellow flower that was kind of more like wild. And that's because where we live, there's a lot of wildflowers. So they're just generic wildflowers. You could say they're daisies because this is like giving daisy. But pretty much they're just generic wildflowers because we have these beautiful, vibrant wildflowers usually in the spring and summer. But you will see another element here that you might overlook. And maybe Delphina could point it out.
The clovers.
The clovers. Now the clovers does mean something personal to me. And I don't think Delphina knows this about this painting at least. So clovers, when I was a kid, so about the time they were reading books, right? They're about their age. I was a little kid, you know, and growing up, we didn't live in, you know, by a big field or anything, but our yard that I had as a kid was always covered in clovers. And my mom would always be like, go play outside, go play outside. And I'm like, fine. And so I was fascinated with these clovers because they literally covered the whole ground. And so I would spend my days looking for 4-leaf clovers, like all the time. And so it kind of mixed my childhood, my kids' childhood and my childhood. So this painting just represents childhood, you know, play, you know, discovery. And I remember now why I did the snake too. I was kind of like, I don't know if you guys noticed, I kind of like didn't focus on the main character here at first because I had to remember like, why did I choose a snake exactly? You could say, well, it's because of the canvas shape, right? No, everything has a reason. So the reason I did a snake is because my youngest daughter was obsessed with snakes, obsessed. And it was such a unique animal, but just like a lot of this symbolism is about, growth and childhood, I wanted to have an element that also went through the seasons. And snakes, I think, is a good symbolism of something that's very seasonal. It comes out primarily in the spring, you know, it sheds its skin for the new year, the new growth. And a lot of this does have the spring elements of new growth, of, you know, new things, you know, coming into the world, you know. And I always think of that with childhood too. With childhood, you're always growing, you're always excited about stuff. And I see snakes as being that excited little child, just like discovering new things. And they're just like always curious, and they're always shedding skin, you know, because they're always getting bigger, but they're always curious, they're always kind of, you know, out there exploring things, but, you know, they're still kind of sensitive, you know, because they don't have nothing to defend themselves, really, you know. So I find snakes very childlike, and that's why I chose a snake. So
that is a lot of meaning to this painting.
It is, now that I'm talking about it. Yeah, it does.
Like one of the most
it does.
meanings
yeah.
in anything, just all into one, which is amazing. Is there any like specific unique techniques to it?
There is. So this is the only painting as of to date that is in not only this style. This is very, very stylized, you know, childlike, you know, very illustration focused type vibes. You can see the line work very clearly on this one. But also it has a texture. And if you look up close, and I can feel it, but please don't feel it. If you're in the gallery, please don't feel it. It's okay if I'm feeling it. My hands are clean. It's my painting, but it has texture. If you can, I don't think you can hear it, but you know, you can definitely see it. It has this snake-like texture, and I left the texture like that to emulate a snake, and it's throughout. And it's really hard to paint on. By the way, it's very, very difficult to paint on. But it has a very, very thick texture, and it's in layers. So you can see like some of the paint peeking through it. So just like a snake, it has the different layers of skin. So that is the very unique thing about this painting. So not only is it in an illustrator type of style, but also it does have that element of texture that, as of to date, I haven't done any other ones like this.
Wow. Is there anything that you would like to wrap this up with? Anything you could think of that you just want to say about this piece?
So one more thing I do want to point out real fast before we wrap it up here. I do want to state and just confirm also with Delphine, I don't think we have any products currently with a snake on it.
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, and there's a reason behind this, because we discussed getting items with this, but it's such a unique piece, meaning like the shape and the size, we would have to cut it down, and we don't want to take away from the painting in any paintings that we do. Some you'll see as crop, some you'll see like on different things or slightly different color maybe, just to enhance whatever we're printing on. But for this particular one, we haven't really found anything that could it translates well onto. So if there's something that you have in mind to have created, we do custom creations, and we can give you a price point for that and get it in the works. But definitely, if you would like something on an item and you don't see it available, then always feel free to go to the website. It's Amena Art, AMENAART.com, and make a request there. At the time you're viewing this, we might actually have some stuff, so definitely inquire about it. Look on the website, type in snake, but definitely feel free to call or send an email at any time.
Thank you, Amena, for letting us know about snake with flowers. And you who are watching Amena Art, thank you for watching.